got a mega topic coming for you guys, man. NFL football. We got the new show Receivers. Me and James have been watching, and you guys, this show is so great. This reminds me of quarterbacks, but better. James, have you caught up with episode two?
I have. That was a great episode.
It was. It really was. We're gonna start off with well, it was. We're gonna start off with my boy Justin Jefferson. So when I was watching, man, he said what notice kind of stood out to me. He said he was a quiet kid growing up, but when he gets on the field, everybody calls him Jets because of his speed and agility. Fun fact, I didn't know Justin Jefferson actually played at LSU. I did not know that, James. That explains a lot. Can you see him being the next Randy Moss in his generation? We already know he technically passed up due to his first three seasons. They said over 4,000 yards, receiving yards. Do you think he's the Randy Moss of this generation?
It certainly looks like it. And, he definitely, his numbers reflect Moss's at that point. But I see Jefferson as more agile, faster, and more athletic than Moss was.
Yeah, because I think he is the Randy Moss of this generation. Because if we look back at Randy Moss, man, he was fast. You know what I mean? He was a speed demon. He was definitely fast. So I can see that. He's one of the top receivers right now. And the fact what's so impressive about it, James, he's only been in the league. This is his fourth year. You know what I mean? Fourth or fifth year. So it's like that's crazy. You know what I mean? Like we don't expect that from new receivers like that. Usually they have to develop kind of a little bit. I say 2, 3 year, but they already give him a max contract. After his third year. So that's kudos to him, man. And then the second point, and then I'll let you continue, man. We had Devontae Adams. He shows how you could switch roles when you show him being electric on the field and then being there for his daughters, man. How difficult do you think it is to play both roles?
I think it's really hard because in a lot of these cases, they can't take their work home with them, especially, they have a bad game or maybe they lose. So it's got to be hard to be there for both your team and the family. Although, from what I've seen, though, a lot of the times the teammates will get together and their families will get together and kind of, support each other in that sense. So that's always great to see, too.
Yeah, it is. It is, man. But y'all let us know how y'all feel about just him as a player. And yeah, we're gonna keep it going, James. What else you had for it?
Well, with Devonte Adams, this is the first time that I really got to see him in his regular life, and they had that dinosaur bash for his daughter's birthday. And
Yeah.
what was interesting was they decided to invite the entire class to the party, and he was saying that half of the parents knew and half of them didn't. Does that sound like a pretty pleasant surprise for the party guests?
It does. It is. Meeting one of the great receivers and being a part of that, and you weren't expecting somebody to invite the whole class. You know what I mean? Probably a few friends, but that just shows like, he's all for it.
Yeah, and we saw that uh, a touchdown for Justin Jefferson. We saw that he had a touchback because he fumbled there against the Philadelphia Eagles, and he curses himself and the opponent. He says "freaking Eagles" afterward, and he seemed really upset. And what was kind of interesting was the quarterback Kirk Cousins was talking about how much it bothered Jefferson post game. He said it would benefit him throughout his career. How could this mindset be helpful?
It can be very helpful, even though him being so successful in his career so far and everything like that, the fact that you get upset over one catch, over one thing, that shows how passionate you are about the game, and that's going to make you work even better, harder. Um, because if he would have caught that, I mean, he could have definitely had the Eagles tied up right there. You know what I mean? And caught that for a touchdown, but in what I view, it was kind of a 2-on-1 match. So I mean, He's not Superman. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I like the fact that he still puts it on him. You know what I mean? And still kind of just they kind of be like, okay, he kind of had possession, but then he lost it. So it happens.
Another thing I noticed was that connection between the Raiders' Max Crosby and Devontae Adams, and they were both dressed up the same time on multiple occasions, and that was pretty fun. It sounded like that was second or third time that had happened. And
Yeah.
they were later both comparing their techniques. So, wide receiver versus defensive end, saying that it's similar handwork of the two spots. Do you think that's a pretty good comparison?
Yeah, most definitely. Because as a DB, you have to cover the wide receivers. You have to learn their techniques, how their slants, their routes, different things. You know what I mean? Just to kind of keep up with them. So yeah, most definitely.
And another thing that I had noticed with Justin Jefferson was he had a ton of candy at home. We saw Sour Patch, Twix, Snickers, and those Lifesaver mints, the individually wrapped ones. And that was just a small portion of what he had. He had what looked like a whole cabinet filled with it. And that was pretty interesting. And then also when he saw himself in the Under Armour commercial, he was like kind of geeking out a little bit and saying,
Yeah,
thinking about how awesome that was. And he seems like a really humble man for such a dynamic receiver.
yeah.
And
Most
he also has a wonderful celebration for his touchdown. It's the gritty. And I know that you're our number one New Orleans source. And if I ever have a question about the Big Easy, I hit you up. So could you please explain the gritty for everyone?
Yeah, definitely. I can explain it, man. The gritty, that's a dance that's kind of just been going on for a minute. Uh, it's come from local, people that's dancers, professional dancers, or just doing different stuff. It's a trend dance, you know what I mean, that everybody does. I think it really started with Odell, to be honest. Him doing it early in his career, LSU. A lot of those LSU players do it. It's just like a New Orleans flavor. We got different kind of dances, you know what I mean, with different names. But yeah, that one once he did it, once he brought it to Minnesota, man, he had the little kids, he had everybody doing it, man. It was amazing to see.
Yeah, it seems like it's everywhere in popular culture, and I love it, especially seeing Jefferson carry on the tradition.
Right. Yeah.
And so far, 2 episodes, we've had 49ers George Kittle and Debo Samuel, Detroit Lion Amon-Ra St. Brown, Raider Devontae Adams, and then Viking Justin Jefferson. So we're
Mm.
gonna play a mini game of fantasy football. Out of
Good.
all of these receivers we've seen so far, who do you want your NFL quarterback throwing to?
Is it just one or just one?
Take two.
Yeah.
Take two.
Oh, two. Okay, bet. I'm gonna have to go, of course, Justin Jefferson still, and I would have to say Debo Samuel just because of his toughness and Justin Jefferson's quickness. So yeah, we're different.
Those are great choices. I definitely have to go with Justin Jefferson also for my number one. Number
Yeah,
two, though, I got to go Amon-Ra St. Brown from the Lions.
yeah.
I think they would be interesting together on the field.
Oh yeah, most definitely. At the same time.
I also kind of see them as, from what I think, the most similar receivers on the field. They have very similar games. They're both very fast and very athletic. That's what I've noticed.
Yes, they are.
And also, towards the end of the episode, Justin Jefferson name checks Devontae Adams. And the direct quote here is, I try to find different ways to improve my game watching Devontae Adams releases. And this is a pretty cool inter-show connection. Do you think this means Jefferson likely looks up to Adams?
Most definitely. You know what I mean? The fact that him being, a humble person and you can tell he watches film of these older guys, older receivers, and he's honored. He's not one of these players that's like, oh, well, I can do better than him. It's more so like, no, he would probably give you credit for his success. Like, man, I grew up watching him. You know what I mean? So it's one of those he's one of those type of players.
Yeah, I like that. Y'all go ahead and let us know what you think in the comments and let us know if you're watching the show and who your favorite receivers are.
Yeah.
And then up next, J&J Sports coming to y'all with more in 2024.